Alrighty. Hey everybody, Dirk once again. Welcome back to the dungeon. Just gonna give you a little update on the radio here. I pretty much have it all recapped except for these two capacitors back here. Only because they're rated at 1300 volts DC, and I don't have anything like that here in the lab. So yeah, I'm gonna have to wait until I can finish doing the full recap here. I have these on order now, so they should be coming at some point. Yeah, I wanted to share this really interesting capacitor that I found yesterday. If you look at it, it has 3 legs on it. The camera is not very good at focusing. Basically, this is an arrow capacitor. Oh man, I wish I had focus on this. I bet you I do. I just don't know where it's at. I have to look. Probably not. Anyway, so this is a 3-legged capacitor, and I was really perplexed last night looking at this, and I was looking at it on the schematic and whatnot, and basically what I saw on the schematic was a oops, sorry about that. Let's see if we can find something to write with. So. And basically, you had a capacitor like this. So it was like this, and then I had a little dotted line around it. Alright, like that, and then an extra lead going off, and this was going to a ground. Like so. Alright? I was like, well, what could that possibly be? And I was looking down here. On the second tube here, I believe it's right here. This is the second tube right here. I believe this is the output stage, and this could be the preamp stage. I haven't looked exactly at what the tubes are, but I know this is the output, and so this could be the preamp output. Anyway, so yeah, one leg of this capacitor, the third leg, because I measured this, I measured all 3 of these, just did a common, or just a normal measurement to see what was what. So basically these two, this inner one here and this, are the actual capacitor, and this outside bit is not connected to anything. And it was going to ground on pin 7 here of this tube. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, so I wasn't quite sure what it actually did, and it was already getting late, so I went upstairs and looked in the internet for 3-leg capacitors, and most of the things that came up were dual-sided capacitors. Like I'll use this as an example because it's a dual can capacitor with 2 different capacitors in one package, and that's what kept coming up. And then I came across a YouTube video of some other guy. I'll put the YouTube channel in my description. And basically, he works on a lot of these vintage German radios, and he had come across a couple of these as well, and he wasn't quite sure what it was. And then he figured out that this is a shielded capacitor. This extra lead here goes inside, and there's an extra bit of shielding around this capacitor. Basically, this capacitor sits in between this on and off and volume pot and this tube here. Basically, this is extra shielding to to keep out all the noise and whatnot for the capacitor. I'm going to assume this is somewhat of a critical component here. I don't know a whole lot about all these circuits. It's a learn as I go. That's kind of half the reason why I got this radio, so I can learn about tube circuits. Just circuits in general. I mean, a tube and a transistor are quite similar. That's how they work. So yeah, I just was trying to figure out what this was, and he had a really nice video explaining it. Yeah, I'll put it in the description. He's a very nice guy. And he goes about on how to make your own replacement. So that's basically what I did. Mine's not very pretty, but here it is. Here it is. I still got to put on the. This was a 10 nanofarad capacitor that was right here, so I'll have to write it on this one. And I basically used these. These are very good German capacitors. These WIMA capacitors right here. They're very good quality. It's probably not the best to use. These are like pulse rated caps. So, trying to find the foil side of these capacitors is pretty much impossible. As I'm using the oscilloscope down here to do it, and I did a bunch of measurements on various capacitors. But these ones, I did have another one around here somewhere. Can't find it. There we go. It's another type. These are like MKPs, and then there's FKPs. Like basically pulse rated caps. And the way that they're built inside, it doesn't seem like that they have a starting point as far as the foil is concerned, because I think the internal structure is a bit different. Yeah. So trying to find the foil side is almost impossible. Both sides measure the same, regardless of what I did. So, I'm just going to put it in, whichever way. I'll have this extra bit of shielding that's on here. I suggest going to this other guy's channel and checking it out. He does a really good representation of the circuit, or not of the circuit, but of the capacitor. What it does. But I figured I'd share it as well because I thought it was really interesting and a bit mind-boggling at first, and then it made sense. It's just extra shielding, and probably a critical part of the circuit. Yeah, because basically, as I would also think, is the line cord comes directly onto this on-off switch plus volume pot, so I'm pretty sure there's quite a bit of noise there from the mains, plus this tube in the back. So it makes sense to me. Anyway, figured I'd show you that, guys. Aside from the two capacitors back there, this is pretty much recapped. I checked a couple other things. It seems to be in working order, so I'm going to put it back into the box for right now, so I still have to look up the best way about going to restore the color of these. Yeah, there you go. So you can see it was more of a nice cream, a butter color, as opposed to that. Yeah. So I'll see what I can do. In the end, if I can't restore the color, then so be it. I'll leave it as is. I'll just clean up the case and whatnot. I already cleaned the tubes off very lightly because the silk screen that's on them is very delicate, and I don't want to rub that out because these are the original tubes that are in here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, maybe if I get it back in the box and I'll hook up an antenna, get some stations, and maybe I'll give you guys a little demo of what it looks like for right now. But yeah, trying to share that with you guys, and hope everybody's good and well, and we'll talk to you maybe in a little bit. So, cheers for now.